Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have a look at the latest on the heat wave that is going to be arriving for many areas over the next few days. It looks like temperatures are going to be slowly ramping up, continuing through today, tomorrow, into the weekend, and by Sunday time we could start to hit 30 degrees in a few areas in the south, and then through early to mid next week, in the sort of reliable time frame of around 7 days, it looks highly likely many areas across England and Wales will be reaching 30 degrees, with a few areas getting towards that 32, 33 degree range. So very hot next week for many. Even if you're not in that 30 degree range, it's still going to be very hot and warm. Remember, 25 degrees through Northern England, Scotland and Ireland and Northern Ireland is the heat wave threshold, so still could get to heat wave sort of levels in those areas, and just generally it will still be very warm, dry and sunny. There's potential beyond the next 7 days for things to turn slightly cooler for a couple days, as around the 14th, 15th, so Thursday, Friday next week, and then it could ramp up once again through the 16th, 17th, 18th, and those sort of high 30s, 40 degree temperatures that we have been seeing on some of the models. So it looks like a little bit of a dip in around a week's time, so a good 3 to 5 days of very hot conditions starting Saturday, Sunday. Maybe a dip of a day or two back towards mid to high 20s, and then we could go elevated once again back into the mid to high 30s, maybe touching on 40 degrees. So a lot of hot, dry weather coming up over the next couple of weeks. So we'll look at that in detail in this video. So remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well, links in the description. So if you start on the live radar, we won't go on this for too long because nothing much is going on. You can see a bit of showers across northern Scotland, nothing too crazy everywhere else. A bit of patchy cloud around, some thick clouds in a few areas, but nothing too bad. A bit of a northwesterly breeze, so if you are further northwards and westwards, it's going to be slightly chillier with a bit of a stronger wind, but nothing too crazy at all. And those temperatures are rising. We've got an extension of the Azores High building in, and that's why you can see across western and northwestern Europe it is dry, whereas further eastwards you see precipitation as low pressure is getting pushed away. Now it's about 2:30 as I'm recording this, so we're reaching the peak temperature of the day, and you can see through the spine of England into Scotland, it is very warm, if not quite hot. Again, you can see through northern and western areas, and especially towards the coast, is a little bit chilly because of that northwesterly flow, but you can see across many areas. A few peak spots here, surprisingly across parts of East Midlands into parts of Yorkshire, North East England and Eastern Scotland. It is very, very hot, very warm if not hot in these areas, getting towards the mid-20s range, 24, 25, 26 degrees in many areas today, and that's going to continue before it starts to rise rapidly through Sunday as we start to reach that 30 degree level. Incredibly warm widely, so if you think it's warm today, it's only going to increase over the next few days, especially for England and Wales. Now, if we have a look at the UKMO Office run, yesterday's video we had a look at that towards the end, but we'll have a look at it in the start of the video today, just because we are starting to get towards the time frame where we are able to see those very hot conditions arriving through Sunday and Monday. So you can see very minimal in terms of cloud or precipitation today. A few showers across western, northwestern Scotland. That's going to continue into tomorrow. Maybe some precipitation across Northern Ireland as well. Nothing too crazy. We can whiz through this really quickly as nothing much is going. Maybe a few heavier showers through Saturday evening to early Sunday, and then again just nothing at all really before it turns really dry. Now you can see there is a bit of more cloud there through Tuesday, and that's because a low pressure system is trying to push in, but all the models have it riding over the high. So maybe a precipitation across Northern Ireland and western Scotland, and a bit of thicker cloud, but widely still very warm and dry. And you can see by the end of the run, look at those upper air temperatures, widely around 13, 14, 15 degrees, which is indicative of high 20s, low 30s in terms of surface conditions, and it's widespread warmth. That is the big thing of this. It's not just heat in the far southeast, it's widespread. Loads of areas are going to be in that 25 to 30 degree range, and there's of course areas above 30 degrees through England and Wales. Now if you look at those max temperatures, you can see this afternoon widely 23, 24, touching on 25, 26 in a few areas, peaking around 3, 4 p.m. So just before this video goes live. And you can see again, widespread warmth. All countries here, so Northern Ireland, Ireland, Scotland, Wales and England, all seeing temperatures rise into the low 20s. So it's widespread warmth, again, not just confined to some warmer areas in southeast England. As we head through to Friday, and very similar day to today, but even hotter in some areas further eastwards and southeastwards. So yeah, widespread warmth, hottest temperatures still, of course. And those bullseye areas across East Anglia, the London area into Kent, seeing 28 to 29 degrees perhaps there. Now there's a slightly cooler air mass move through on Saturday, just around that little low that is gliding to our north, giving us a bit of cloud and that little bit of precipitation across northern Scotland. It doesn't do too much except to dip those temperatures back down to around 25 degrees. So you won't feel it too much, a couple degrees cooler, but it's still very warm. But by Sunday afternoon, those temperatures rising again back towards 26, 27, 28 degrees widely, could even touch on 29 or 30 degrees is possible. And as we head towards Monday, you can see widespread high 20s, low 30s, a lot of 30, 31 degrees there. And of course, where we see peak, those temperatures peak, it most likely will be a degree or two warmer than that. So widely 29 to 31, perhaps 32, 33 in a few regions, and it will only increase through Tuesday and Wednesday, likely widely around that 32, 33 degree range. So yes, incredibly warm over the next couple of days into next week, and it doesn't look like this is the end of it as well. It doesn't look like it's just 5 days of warmth. It's going to be continuing for a good couple of weeks, looking like at this stage. Now in yesterday's video we had a look at these ensemble charts. Now if you don't watch yesterday's video, I'll explain these briefly once again. These are the GFS ensembles, but they are showing the percentage of ensemble members on each given day at these temperatures. So you can see these bars along the bottom here, where my mouse is. You can see orange is 16 to 20 degrees, slightly darker orange, 21 to 25, dark orange to red is 26 to 30, and pink is 30 degrees. So you see a percentage here. So for example, today 74% of ensembles for London have the high temperature of 21 to 25, or high temperature at 12 p.m. that is, and 26% have it 26 to 30. So you can see these percentages continue. It's not a probability, it's just showing the percentage of ensemble members at this stage going for that. So if you're a high percentage, plus 50%, 60, 70%, that's the most likely conditions. Now I also have to say, yes, this is 12 p.m, so there's always another couple hours of daytime heating on top of this. So some here that could be predicting 28, 29 are in that 26 to 30 degree range, but actually would peak at 31, 32 at 3, 4 p.m. So we do have to take that into account. So most likely it's even hotter than these charts are showing. So you can see over the next sort of 3, 4, 5 days, majority of the ensemble members have us in around the 26 to 30 degree range. So just touching on heatwave thresholds of 28 degrees in far southeast for the London area. And you can see for Saturday a bit more of that lighter orange, so slightly cooler conditions as I said. But Sunday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday looks guaranteed, and Monday as well looks guaranteed to be 26 to 30 degrees, a smaller chance of 30 plus degrees. But it will be slightly higher than this 6 and 10%, so we can see more likely 20 or 30%, just because once we reach their daytime peak at 3, 4 p.m, more of these 26 to 30 degree ensemble members will be up to that 30 degree level. But you can see by Tuesday, Wednesday, those look like the hottest days at this stage. You can see 52% are in that 30 plus degree range, incredibly warm. So yeah, low to mid 30s is possible there. As I said, there's a bit of a cool down for 15th of July. You can see considerable drop, many more going for that 21 to 25 degree range. Again, most likely the high will be 26 to 30 in the afternoon, and that's because a slightly cooler air mass moves through. But then it's around the 17th, 18th we see a ramp up in temperatures once again. You know, you say there's no massive 30 degree spike here, 42% maximum on Sunday the 17th. But the big thing with that is it's so far in the future, and for 42% to be forecasting 30 plus degrees already at midday just shows you that there is a very hot air mass on a lot of these ensemble members. So as I said, a peak in this heat wave next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, perhaps Thursday time, a slight cool down Friday, Saturday, and then it looks like it's going to ramp up again Sunday, Monday, Tuesday time. Can't say for certain because that's 10 days away, but that is looking like the trajectory at this stage. In the longer term, we still have considerable amount of hot and warm runs, just a bit more uncertainty there. So it doesn't look like this is going to be going away anytime soon. This pattern looks continuing over the next couple of weeks. Yes, as I said, next Thursday, Friday, Saturday, there could be a bit of a blip, slightly cooler conditions, back towards maybe mid to high 20s in those areas that saw that are going to be seeing low 30s, so maybe a 5-degree temperature drop, but nothing that's going to put us back towards average or anywhere remotely around average at all. Now, if we do have a look at the ensembles on a line chart, so this is how we normally view them, you can see how the temperature's ramping up next week. We see that dip around the 15th, 16th of July, and then that other rise around the 17th, 18th, and 19th. So you can see how those bars on that table does correlate with the line, so it just gives us a better way of viewing it. So you can see at the moment the upper air temperatures are very warm. That's why we could see 28, 29 degrees possible tomorrow, and then by Saturday it just drop briefly for a day, and that's why it's more likely 25, 26 before Sunday, Monday, Tuesday time, and it peaks around Wednesday, Thursday, incredibly hot upper air conditions around the 14, 15, 16 degree level, which is indicative of around 30 degrees, perhaps a couple degrees above that, as the heat does build at the surface. We then see that slight dip to average around the 16th of July. There is uncertainty, but there's some going much cooler, some staying very warm if not hot, so still a bit of uncertainty with that, but it does look like most go for a little bit of a dip, slightly cooler air mass coming in, but we could still hang on to the very hot air just in the far south. There could be quite a temperature contrast there, so it could be low 20s in the north of England, but low 30s still in the south, near the south coast. So we'll just have to see how that does play out. Again, it's a week away, so there is a lot of uncertainty with that before we see that big rise. And those are the charts we've been seeing recently that are showing around 40 degrees. It's around that sort of 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th of July period where we see these upper air masses potentially skyrocketing to around 20, maybe higher degrees at 850 HPA, which would be indicative of 35 to 40 degrees. Could be threatening our all-time temperature record. But you can see the majority do go up again. Majority go to around that 14, 15, 16 degree at 850 HPA, but only maybe a quarter going much higher than that. So it does look like it will return to low 30s again, but whether it gets towards the mid to high 30s, there is still uncertainty with that. And in the longer term, the majority is still above average. It still does look very dry, but of course, when that cooler air mass moves in, and then we see that injection of hot plume from the south in around 10 days' time, it is associated with low pressure that's dragging that heat up in out near the Bay of Biscay, and that could fuel storms. We're seeing a little bit of a precipitation signal there in around 10 days' time, so that is something we do need to keep an eye on as well. So if we do have a look at those 2 meter temperatures from the ensembles, you can see over the next sort of 4 or 5 days, widely mid to high 20s, potentially touching on 30 degrees in a few spots, but widely around that 25 to 28 degree range. As we head into early next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday time, touching on the 30 degree range. You can see quite a few there getting towards 30 degrees. A bit of a dip around the 15th to 16th of July, but nothing massive. Still above average, around 24 to 26 degrees. And then we can potentially see a big ramp up again. A lot of uncertainty. Some members back towards the 35 plus degree range. Others back still around the 25 degree range. So a lot of uncertainty with that, but still looking incredibly warm. Heatwave levels quite likely reached the majority of days, beginning probably around Saturday, Sunday time. Majority of the days for the next week to 10 days. Now, if we do compare this to the ECMWF Ensemble, see what they're showing today. Now, of course, there are 50 ensemble members here, so we're expecting better curves, and you can see that we're above average for the foreseeable future. Warm at the moment, slight dip around Saturday, that's why we're seeing those cooler temperatures on Saturday, and then a rise again through the middle of next week into around 15 degrees at 850 HPA, so low 30s, slight dip around the 15th, 16th of July, and then we see that big ramp up again. A lot more bullish from the ECMWF ensembles that we're going to go between 15 and 20 degrees at 850 HPA, which would be indicative of temperatures in and around that mid 30 degree range. If we saw it above 20 degrees, perhaps towards the 25 degree range, so 22, 23, 24, 25, which we are seeing from some, then we would be threatening the high 30s close to 40 degrees. We'd be threatening our all-time temperature record. But you can see perhaps only maybe 5, 6 ensemble members going for that, so maybe only 10 to 15% of them are showing something to that level. So still incredibly warm, still very hot, heat wave levels very likely on the majority of ensemble members, but at this stage it looks the most likely temperatures for many, especially for England and Wales, are going to be in that 30 to 35 degree range, and perhaps in around 10 days time we could see a peak for a day or two above that. But at this stage, I wouldn't put too much into that, as again, it is a lot of uncertainty. And we have been seeing it consistent over the last few days, but it hasn't really increased or decreased in the output yet. So still, models very uncertain on it. If we do have a look at the raw 2 meter temperatures from the ensembles as well, you can see a big rise around mid-20s at the moment, rising towards the high 20s, low 30s towards the middle of next week. Early of next week, a little bit of drop around 15th, 16th of July for another ramp up, and you can see a lot of ensemble members back between that 30 to 35 degree range. And again, these ensemble members are a couple of degrees below what the actual values would be because they are lower resolution, so most likely could be into the high 30s with those very warm runs. So again, not too much of a change from yesterday, except more likely to be a little bit of a dip around that 15th, 16th of July, and still likely to ramp up again around the 17th, 18th. Just don't really know to what extent. Looks likely to get back into the 30s, but whether it's towards the mid to high 30s, maybe 40 degrees, that is where we have a lot of uncertainty. But regardless, it still looks very hot, heatwave-like conditions. Now, if we look at the individual runs, we'll run through these quite quickly, as they aren't changing too much day on day. So you can see high pressure building in at the moment, turning things much drier and warmer. Heat wave levels starting by around Sunday, Monday. You see a little low pressure system move in, potentially a little bit cooler, a bit more precipitation in the far north and west. And you can see as we're towards Thursday, Friday, you see this brief cooler air mass, brief lowering of pressure, and that's just a slight cold front moving in. Could give some thicker cloud and some patchy showers maybe for around the 14th, 15th of July, spreading through before high pressure builds back in, getting things drier and warmer around the 16th, 17th. And we see that low pressure to our south starting to develop, trying to build up that southerly flow there right around the 17th, 18th. Not quite as direct though today on this latest GFS, but as we saw by the ensembles, there is quite a lot of support still for it. Of course, we're going to get operational runs, not quite going for it around the 10-day time frame. Now, beyond that, high pressure still is in control, looks very warm, very dry, wind direction more from a westerly, so wouldn't quite be as hot, but still would be well above average and potentially hitting on heat wave levels. Now, if we look at the upper air temperatures, you can see it's starting to get above 10 degrees at 850 HPA, which would be representative of 25 plus degrees, and that's what we're starting to see. You see the high pressure continues to build in over the next couple of days, and it peaks around 15 degrees at 850 HPA around next week. And then as that low tries to come in through the 16th, 17th, we do inject some very hot air into the far south, potentially the 20 degree isotherm coming in. Not as much of a direct southerly, so not pulling the low 20s, maybe mid 20s at 850 HPA up. That's sitting across Europe, but still the potential is there. Still very warm air mass on our door. But beyond that, we do see generally high pressure built back in with warm upper air conditions, so likely to stay very warm and dry. Now, if we do have a look at the EGM, see how that does compare to day 10, high pressure in control at the moment. Continuing very warm, hot conditions, brief cooler period around the 14th, 15th, and then we start to see that south to southeasterly flow. Low pressure more out in the Atlantic, and if we do run it back and have a look at those upper air temperatures, again, very warm at the moment, continues to be very warm. 15 degree isotherm in middle of next week, that's by low 30s. That hot air just to our south gets brushed away, and that's why I said there's potential in the far south. We still hang on to those low 30s, even through the sort of 14th, 15th, 16th, when a cooler air mass does sink into the north. Beyond that, we go incredibly hot again around the 17th, 18th, starting to pull that southerly wind in, the 15 degree isotherms coming in, the 20 degree isotherms across northern France, and most likely would be making its way towards the UK. Incredibly hot conditions there. Now, if we do compare it finally to the ECMWF, again, high pressure and control at the moment, completely taking over, and then it does sort of move away briefly around the 15th, 16th, slightly cooler air coming around the high, before it does migrate eastwards. We do pull up a direct southerly, and you look at the upper air temperatures, incredibly hot. That 15-degree isotherm engulfs the whole of the UK, most likely give temperatures widely in the high 20s, low 30s, and you can see the 20-degree isotherm moving in into the south. That would give the potential for mid to maybe high 30s across southern parts. But as I said earlier, it is accompanied by a more vigorous low in the Atlantic. We need that vigorous low to bring up those proper southerly winds, and that always does give the threat of more unsettled conditions with the heat involved would trigger massive thunderstorms. But that is so far in the future. That is 10 to 14 days away. I'm not going to have any speculation with that yet, just because I know the hit and miss nature of thundery weather and how we struggle to forecast it 2 or 3 days ahead, let alone 10 to 14 days. So at the moment, we'll just stick to the potential for some very, very hot weather. And again, you look at the temperature deviation for this, and you can see it is 8 to 10, maybe 12 degrees above average. Incredibly hot conditions there. So yeah, we'll have to see how this does play out over the next couple of weeks. Does look very warm. Heat wave pretty much guaranteed now for quite a few, so please do take the necessary precautions. It's going to be incredibly hot outside, it's going to be high UV levels, and it's going to be sustained. So if you do get dehydrated on one day, it's going to affect the next day, and that's where we could start to see issues. We see multiple days of sunburn, multiple days of dehydration, then we could start to see issues with vulnerable people especially. So please make sure you do wear your sun cream, you do stay in the shade through the peak hours of the day for both temperature's sake and for the UV levels sake, and make sure you do stay hydrated and look out for others as well, as it does look likely to be very warm and hot. Next week's weather doesn't look like it's going to be anything record-breaking. It looks like a typical summer heat wave, but because it could be quite relentless in terms of lasting for a good week or two, we could still see issues. And I think sometimes people do underestimate the power of the July sun and how this heat does affect people's bodies. So please do take the necessary precautions and do stay safe out there over the next couple of weeks. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.